loyalty, betrayal, friendship, jealousy, finding your place in family, community, the totality, fair bargains, emotionality, all part of this cycle of the human design weather for February 23rd to March 1st, 2025. Hello there. I'm Margot Fraser, your guide through the cosmic energetic weather. I'm a certified human design professional and intuitive coach, and I'm on a mission to help you know, live, and love the magic of your true nature. In this podcast, Human Design, whether or not, we'll explore the conditioning influences of the planetary motions, the transit field. You can't avoid the conditioning pressures. You'll likely see and feel their effects playing out around you, but rather than you being pulled off track, this awareness will empower you to navigate the cycle, staying true to your authentic nature and take advantage of the opportunities when correct for you. All right, let's take a look at the weather for this cycle. It begins on February 23rd at 8:05 p.m. and goes until March 1st at 10:22 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Universal time coordinates, that's February 24th at 3:05 a.m. until March 1st at 5:22 p.m. So remember to convert that to your own time zone so that you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start looking at the Sun-Earth positions because that's 70% of the conditioning field. And we have one of the three special Sun-Earth oppositions in human design where they actually create a channel, which is very powerful. So I'll talk briefly about the individual gates and their traits, but spend more time on the channel, as the channel themes always trump or dominate the gate themes. So we have the Sun moving into gate 37. The trait of friendship, the family in the solar plexus center, the emotional center that's both a motor that generates the emotional wave, the ups and downs of emotions, and it's also our emotional awareness, our emotional intelligence. This trait is part of the tribal circuitry that will bring a theme of mutual support. So do you feel supported? Who are you supporting? These are questions that may come up for you over this cycle. Its keynote says the manifestation, macro and microcosmically, of the organic nature of communities. So how and why do communities form? It's people coming together to provide mutual support to each other and create something greater than any one person could do alone. So this trait of friendship, it contributes to that by bringing the possibility to offer support and friendship to others. It's a trait that's highly associated with touch. So you may find yourself being more affectionate through this cycle, through touch. You can think of this trait as the glue in a community. You know, people don't come together very harmoniously if there's no friendship, no support. So this is a trait that supports bringing that harmony to the family, to the community, to the tribe. Or not. The polarities can always be there. It's also the gate of the mouth that wants to be fed. It's a trait that enjoys food, getting that food resource. The potential opportunities for you that come with this are to recognize over time. Anything that's in the emotional center takes time. You've got to go through the waves of emotionality to determine what's really correct, to get that clarity. So here it's to recognize over time who will or won't provide what's needed the resources that are needed. And this is a trait where you can distribute resources that you have fairly. So there may be an emphasis for you over this cycle, a sense of, oh, I need to get my material resources in order. This trait is very, very sensitive to the bargain, the contract, and whether it's fair or not. You may find those that you can be loyal to and that can be loyal to you. The cautions here, if you're not waiting out the emotionality that is inherent in this trait for that clarity, you can be taken advantage of, and there can be betrayal instead of that loyalty. The Earth has moved into gate 40, the trait of deliverance or aloneness that's in the ego center. The ego center is also called the heart center or the willpower center because it's a motor that provides willpower. You can think of this trait as the breadwinner trait, the provider, using willpower to deliver what's needed to the family, to the community, to the tribe. Deliverance can be around material resources and can also be deliverance in a spiritual sense, delivering into an experience of awakening. This is the ego, and it needs to be massaged, to be appreciated, to be honored in order to deliver. That's part of the role of that gate 37 trait, that gate of friendship that connects to it. It appreciates what the 40 can deliver and honors that. That's where there can be that mutual loyalty, or if it's not the correct bargain, it can be that betrayal. The thing about the ego center is that it needs its rest. You can't sustain willpower forever. And you've probably experienced that. Just like the heart and the stomach, it needs to work and rest. And it needs both in order to function properly. That's why the keynote says the point of transition between struggle and liberation. Struggle is the work, and liberation is the freedom to rest, to be free of the struggle. So there's the tension of work and then the relaxation of rest. This trait is biologically associated with the stomach. The potential opportunities for you here that this trait can bring, this frequency can bring, is to find balance for yourself between work and rest, taking time to really enjoy the fruits of your labor. The cautions here, if you're not honored for what you provide to your family, to your community, this is a trait that would just rather be alone. In fact, if this will is not used correctly in the right timing, according to your own strategy and authority, it can lead to digestive issues. Again, biologically, it's the stomach. Things like ulcers can be a problem here. This is really a trait that wants to be used with doing work that you really love. When we look at these Sun-Earth positions together, we get that full channel. So let's take a look at it because it's going to be here, of course, for this full cycle. Remember that when the transit field creates a channel, it means everybody in the world is impacted. Either you already have this in your own chart or you are getting it through the transit field. As we already discussed, this is tribal. So we'll have that underlying theme of mutual support. Are you feeling supported or not? Before we look at what the channel will bring, it is a channel that's going to activate the emotional center and that ego center, the heart center for everyone in the world. Tribal emotionality operates in a ratchet type of wave. Ratchets up bit by bit when not supported. So something might happen where you didn't really feel supported and then you let it go. And then something else happens, you didn't feel supported and you let it go. And over time, that builds up to the point that it spills out. And then it's like a reset there. And whatever that final trigger is, what comes out often is all the ways that the support didn't happen. So it's not just about that moment, it's about everything that led up to that moment of this kind of spilling over, spilling out. So there's the potential for this to happen to you or to those around you, this cycle, a ratcheting up and perhaps this spilling out. On the other end, we have the ego center, the heart center. The heart center is only defined for about 35% of the population. That's that little triangle to the right of the diamond in the center of the chart, the G center. So it's just to the right of that. It'll be colored in red in your chart if it's defined. Most of you, though, will find that it's not defined. It's white in your chart. And anything that's white in your chart takes in and amplifies the frequencies. So you're going to have amplified willpower in this case. If you don't have it defined in your chart, it means that you're not here to make promises. You're not here to prove yourself in any way. You're inherently of value just as you are. And the not self mind, though, can grab onto that openness and have you trying to prove that you are of value. So with it being activated this cycle by the transit field and amplified for you, it can feel like you have a lot of willpower. So you could overwork, or you could abandon work that you should be doing to rest. Not following your strategy and authority, but allowing the impact, the influence of this conditioning field. The channel of community is the channel of the marriage contract and bargains. This is the channel that's being created. It's a design of a part seeking a whole. The potential opportunities, if you've got to negotiate or renegotiate a contract, this could be a really great time to do it. Do make sure, though, that you're really clear on what would actually be fair to you. Because this is emotional again, that takes time. And what seems fair one day might not seem fair the next. If you've been working hard, you might find rest really recuperative in this particular cycle. If you do have this channel in your own chart, it's really important that any bargains, any contracts, even with a spouse, around what each person's responsibilities are written down. Right? It doesn't seem very romantic, but it really will help maintain harmony. And of course, renegotiate as things change. The caution here, if you are in contracts or bargains that are not fair, it's going to be amplified this cycle. There could be a sense of being taken advantage of. There's always a possessiveness when it comes to the tribe. So jealousy could also be in the air, so to speak, this cycle. We have the mouth of gate 37 meeting the stomach of gate 40. And the tribe is social. This tribal circuitry is social. So it could be a really great time to enjoy a meal together with friends, with family. This is the design, again, of a part seeking a whole. So you may feel pressure to find your place in family, in community, and spiritually in the totality. Be open to the give and take of relationships. Something new, a new relationship may emerge over this cycle. All right, let's go to our long-term channel now. We've seen this one over the last few cycles. It came in on February 11th at 4:47 p.m. It's going until April 7th at 2:26 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Universal time coordinates, that's February 11th at 11:47 p.m. until April 7th at 8:26 a.m. Jupiter moved back into gate 35 last cycle, the trait of progress and change in the throat center, connecting to its electromagnetic, the trait of crisis, gate 36 in the emotional center that's being activated by the north node of the moon. This creates a channel of transitoriness, a design of the jack of all trades. The rule of thumb with the abstract experiential circuitry is never to repeat an experience, but to move from one experience to another, which is why it's called the channel of transitoriness. This is connecting the emotional center to the throat center. We saw with our Sun Earth position, the emotional center connecting to the willpower center. So 2 channels that are activating the emotional center. So yes, lots of emotionality for us in this cycle again. The gate of crisis, gate 36, brings that pressure to really enter in to a new experience. It's the novice not having the experience, which is what the crisis is all about. Can be a little bit nervous. There can be a sense of inadequacy that comes with this. When it's correct, going into the experience, beginnings, middles, ends, eventually seeing it through to the end, where you reach that gate of progress, of change in the throat center. This is a voice that says, typically, I feel like a change. It can also be the voice of, I'm bored, until something really new comes along. So what we see is this going to have us all under the pressure to make change, to have a new experience. And one of the rules for the experiential circuitry is no expectations. It really takes us out of having the fullness, the breadth and depth of what that experience can bring. Not so easy to do. The mind wants to have an expected outcome, right? If I go into this experience, this is what I think it's going to lead to. You have to use your strategy and authority. If it's truly correct for you, then surrender to the experience. See what it does bring to you. When it is correct, these frequencies are going to support you in moving through that experience. Okay, we do not have any channels being created by the moon in this particular cycle, which is kind of unusual. So that brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the nodes of the moon and the outer planets. They're activations that are often here for longer periods of time. That can be years in some cases. So they can have quite an impact if the not self mind starts believing that those traits are actually part of you, when it's not something that you have in your design. We're maintaining, as I already mentioned, this theme of emotionality that we've been seeing over the last few cycles. We have our 2 channels, both activating the emotional center, along with 2 individual gates also being activated in the emotional center. Gate 6, that trait of conflict, and gate 22, the individual trait of grace or disgrace. It's an interesting combination to have here because we have a more tribal channel with its marriage contract, its possessiveness, all about the family, the community, the tribe, its mutual support, combined with the channel of transitoriness, which is abstract, experiential, collective, never wants to repeat an experience, much farther away from tradition. So finding that variety of experience that can be played out within the context of the fair bargain, that can be both exciting and it can certainly have its challenges. That conflict and friction of gate 6 can come into play here. Things that need to be confronted and worked through to evolve a relationship, or that may be avoided and eventually erode a relationship. There can be desire to have experiences with others that are mutually supportive as we look at these things together. And gate 22, that gate of grace and disgrace, may want to bring some romance, some passion to relationships. Or could be very impatient and disgraceful. There could be a sense of feeling like you want a change in a relationship, a change in your community, coming from the pressure of these frequencies. So just a caution that you make any decisions, again, from your own strategy and authority, not out of this conditioning pressure. Just to touch on the long-term transits that are not in the emotional center, we have gate 23 continuing to sit in the throat center. This is Uranus position. Uranus brings unusualness. It can bring distraction, sidetracking. This is an individual trait of assimilation, where you can bring through your unique expression out into the world in a way that could shift other people's perspectives. This isn't rooted in the making sense of the abstract circuitry or the facts and details of the logic circuitry. It's a knowing that comes through. However, sitting in line 5, that could also have you not bring through your unique contribution out of fear of rejection. This could have expressions from others around you taking you completely off track. This is part of Uranus, so just something to be aware of there. Neptune sitting in gate 25 in the G center, the individual trait of innocence, of universal love, the spirit of the self. It can be the polarity as well. Neptune has that watery nature, illusion, imagination. It can bring a veiling or an unveiling. It may make it difficult to determine and discern selflessness from selfishness. And it's pointed at the gate of shock in the heart center. And with the heart center being activated in this cycle, we may be exposed to more shocks, things that can challenge us and challenge your individual spirit, your sense of who you are. That leap into the unknown. Are you okay with the uncertainty, with the unknown that can be there? Can you maintain the spirit of yourself and that sense of universal love through those challenges? That's the pressure that this can bring. Pluto sitting in gate 41 in the root center. The root center is both a motor and a pressure center, bringing its adrenalized drive. Here it's the trait of contraction and decrease, another part of the abstract experiential circuitry. It's a gate of daydreaming, of fantasizing about the next experience that you'd like to have. Key here is separating out what's truly fantasy from what can really be brought into fruition. And that can take some time to narrow down. That's why it's the gate of decrease and contraction, to narrow down to that one experience that you really want to have that is realistic to bring into fruition. Remember, for any of these traits, if you don't have these traits in your own design, it's just pressure from the conditioning field. You can observe it playing out around you. You may feel it within yourself. You can learn from it. But whether there's actually anything for you to do, once again, it's going to be according to your own strategy and authority, rather than being run or being puppeted by the conditioning field. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. And if you're new to human design and you want to understand the basics of the chart, what's the red and the black about, the different geometric shapes, just at a high level, a little bit on the background of the human design system, feel free to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com/human-design. And you'll find various opportunities for readings there as well if you want to go deeper into your design. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would be very grateful if you could give this episode a like, perhaps subscribe. All right, let's continue to keep those surfboards out to ride these emotional waves. Be aware of the pressure for change and to overwork and push through things that might not really resonate for you. If it's time for a break, do what you really enjoy and allows you to recuperate. Take time for yourself if it's correct. Get those bargains and contracts in writing. Make sure that they're fair. And enjoy some social time with friends and family, whether that's blood or soul. Have a great cycle. Be kind to one another. And may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.